All right. Dr. Jyothi, are you there? I think I see you on the screen. You can turn on your cameras if you're on.
You know, I used to be her patient.
Let me see if she's there. Yeah, Dr. Jyothi is one of the very good doctors. She is experienced for 25 plus years in Maryland. And I wanted her to introduce herself when she gets there. She is. There you are. Good morning. You're muted.
Okay. Hi. Good morning. How's everyone?
Good.
All right. There you are. So I wanted to just lay it on to Dr. Jyothi. Go ahead. We are already.
Hi. So I'm a internist for 25 years in internal medicine, and I practice lifestyle integrative medicine. And what I wanted to talk to everyone about was the tools you have every day, just like with yoga and meditation, to bring your body back into balance. Because a lot of what I think is missing in our kind of medical world is we put out too many fires and we basically wait for things to break down. And what we want to actually do is, even though we're screening for cancers and we're screening for those, by the time you screen, the cancer has already started. So what we want to do is try to keep our body in balance so that things don't break down. And so you guys are all familiar with the concept of why yoga is important, why meditation is important, but many things are in our lives have to do with, our environment, the toxins that are out there, the food quality being not great, the nutritious value of our foods are going down, our water quality is not great, our pollution is high, we sit too much, we don't sleep enough, we kind of are walking around with so much stress all the time. And these things are what we call our stressors. And what we want to talk about today is all the resources we have to help balance the body so that if the stressors win out, that's when the body gets inflamed. That's when there's itises, sinusitis, bronchitis, all these itises are inflammation of different parts of the body. Anxiety, fear is inflammation of the brain. So everything in medicine has a little bit of an itis inflammation component, which starts from the separation of this resource and this and our tools that we can use. So did you want me to just talk, or do you want me to answer questions as I go through?
No, we'll keep the cat questions for the end. You can go ahead and give us the information.
So the issue is that, what are these tools that we have? Because when we have the separation of resources and our stressors, we start to inflame our bodies, we throw things out of balance, and it starts to activate what's called the autonomic nervous system, which is our nervous system that's in control of involuntary motion. So when we see stressors, and remember with our ancestors, stressors used to be no food, threat to our lives, running from tigers, famines, things like that. And so our body responds the same way to a stressful stimuli, whether that's, I'm in a traffic jam, I didn't get the email out, I have too much to do today, all those things invoke the same response, and that's called the sympathetic drive. The sympathetic drive is high elevation of cortisol, which is the hormone that drives a lot of immune dysfunction, immune immune functions, sugar, fat deposition, and then we have norepinephrine, epinephrine, which affect our blood vessels. If it's on too much, we start to get higher blood pressure, we start to get higher heart rates. So that's called sympathetic drive. And it's not bad or good, it gets us out of danger. If you were to be caught in something like a fire or something tragic happened, you need that sympathetic system to kick in so that you can move. You need to be heightened awareness, and you need to be able to get blood flow to your extremities so you can move. So it's not a bad thing. But what happens is that parasympathetic, which is the thing that compensates for it, the sympathetic and then the parasympathetic is supposed to go on. And this is our rest and digest. This is the one that's supposed to charge our battery. So after we fight the fight, we're supposed to rest and digest. And that's our problem, is most of us are going on sympathetic drive. We keep going and going and going, and we never really recharge our battery by working on the rest and digest system. And that's kind of the toolbox. The toolbox is in that rest and digest system. So in the rest category is sleep, of course, restorative sleep, which we can talk about what does that mean. But the other category is mind-body connection, the calming of the mind and the body. This part being very, very balanced and calm starts to affect the rest of the body. So when this part is agitated, the rest of the body is agitated. And so we want to develop that connection between the mind and body. That is one of our major tools for rest and digest. And as you probably all know, that when you do things like yoga and meditation, it doesn't just help one thing like a medicine does. One medicine can work on blood pressure, one medicine can work on sugar, but yoga and meditation and all these lifestyle tools we're talking about work broad stroke to help multiple things. So that's one tool for rest. The other tool is what is restorative sleep. So people sleep in their bed. Oh, I sleep for 8 hours. Do you really sleep for 8 hours? Or are you up 3 hours trying to fall asleep? Are you getting up 4 times in the middle of the night to get up to go to the bathroom because somebody has noise, because it's too hot, too cold, too dark, too light? So you have to think about sleep as restorative sleep, which means 7 to 9 hours. And it has to be between, you go through these stages where it's stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and REM. And you have to do that multiple times during the night to get restorative sleep. So when you say, I go through stage 1, that's when you're falling asleep, and deeper sleep starts to happen in later stages. And then you wake up because you're in pain. Then you wake up because you have to go to the bathroom. You start back at stage 1. So you never kind of get to that REM, which is really critical to our memory and our centers for recovery. So if you say, oh, I only lost 1 hour of sleep because I only slept 6 hours instead of 7, you're actually losing a higher percentage of good quality sleep, because the best sleep and restorative sleep happens towards the end of the night. So as we go through the night, it becomes more efficient. Our REM cycles take over more. And so that becomes more efficiently restorative. Why does that matter? Because if you don't sleep restoratively, you're waking up every day with more inflammation, higher levels of cortisol, higher levels of blood pressure, and higher levels of sugar, abnormal appetite. So all the things that we try to do during the day, I want to control my sugar, I want my weight to be balanced, I want to be able to be strong. Those are things that are totally derailed by not sleeping properly. So sleep, mind, body is part of the rest section. And then the other part is our gut, digestion. Digestion is very, very, very big, because in our gut, we have 80% of our cells that create all the itises, our immune system, which is the main part of what we do for fighting infections, but also anything that's inflammatory in our body. Say your family history is significant for some sort of arthritis. Well, the gut, the bugs in the gut turn those genes on and off. So just because you're genetically predisposed to something doesn't mean you're actually going to get it. What triggers that is your lifestyle choices. Yes, you can get triggered by a virus, a vaccine, other things that you do, but it's a trigger that turns on. And that is a function of our gut microbiome. So our bugs in our gut are called a microbiome. And those things give us 3 million genes. We as humans have 23,000 genes. So we are literally 10% of our bugs. So if I have genes for something bad, my bugs could take over and turn those off. So I have to protect my bugs. My bugs are very important. How do I do that? Well, if I support my sleep, if I support my mind-body connection, if I support what I put in my mouth, whether it's supplements or meds or food. I have to be in charge of controlling that so that I invoke a good, diverse microbiome. So everything matters for the gut bugs. The second thing that happens in the immune system is three things. One is that our immune system is there. Second thing is our gut microbiome also helps us digest our foods, helps metabolism, it helps our hormones, it helps our vitamins, it helps our gut-brain connection. So when your gut bugs are not good, your brain's not good. That could be anxiety, fear, memory loss. All of that stuff can stem from a bad gut microbiome. So the gut is very important. Our digestion is very important. Also, things that make us happy, like hormones, like neurotransmitters, like serotonin, also 80% come from the gut. So we cannot, so far, if we're anxious because our gut's not doing well, the anxiety in our brain also starts to affect our gut being unhealthy. And it doesn't always show up as diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, indigestion. You can have all this inflammation in your body and it can show up as, I can't lose 10 pounds. I'm so tired in the evening. I have this headache that doesn't go away, or I have a rash. All of those things are signs that something's wrong with your gut bugs. So we do want to be able to try to get to what that quality is in terms of isolating the issues. So what we can start with is our food, right? So what we want to do is make our bodies more alkaline. Alkaline foods are more plant-based. So more plants, less animal products. And so things like dairy are animal products. So we know we have, a lot of yogurt and milk in our lives and that kind of thing. And it's not necessarily bad or good for everyone, but in general, they're acidic and they can cause inflammation. So one of the first things I get people to get rid of in my practice, when they have any sort of pain, inflammation, and itis, I tell them to hold off on dairy for about 4 to 6 weeks and see what happens. You won't know in 5 days, you won't know in 10 days, but you might know in 6 weeks how much better you feel. My personal journey was that I'm a vegetarian, but I had, I had yogurt and cheese and milk, and then I didn't go shopping one week because I was too busy at the office, and I didn't eat any dairy for lunch. I didn't have my cheese sticks, I didn't have my yogurts, and that whole week I had no allergies and I had more energy, and I didn't actually make that connection because we have to start associating things with our health. And energy, for example, is something that we all feel up and down as we go on, but pay attention to what makes you feel more energized, what makes your mind more alert. Sometimes it's the food choices you're making. So if you're having, even within a food category of, say, bread, rotis, whole wheat rotis versus the bread that you buy in the grocery store, one bread can invoke an insulin response because of all the garbage in the bread, like all the preservatives and the fact that the bread has been refined, meaning they take the grain and they shave it and they shave it and they shave it. So then the bread becomes nice and soft and white, which looks very pretty and tastes yummy, but it has zero nutrition and it invokes a very big insulin response to you. And insulin is good because it helps sugar get into the cells, but a very high insulin response can make us tired, make us sleepy, make us have brain fog, and also make us gain weight. Insulin stores fat right in the midsection. Many people I see have problems with losing weight. I have too much weight in the midsection. My belly's getting bigger. I don't know why. So part of the problem is that the food quality that we're doing, the processed foods, the boxed, packaged, bottled foods have a lot of junk in them. And so they're not good quality foods that what they do is they can invoke an insulin response. They can give your body kind of like you're eating, but you're not getting any nutrition. So your body's almost starving, like it's still hungry. So you're still eating more than you need to. So switching to something that's more whole foods. So when you shop in the periphery of the grocery store, the things that are on the outside instead of the aisles where they're packaged and boxed and labeled. One thing I have my patients all do is start looking at labels, start paying attention to what you're getting. 2 boxes of rice are very different because you want to see fiber content. Fiber is really important. Fiber grows good bacteria. Where is fiber found? Fiber is found in whole grains, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, lentils, legumes, all of the plant-based foods. And our Indian diets are amazing because it's loaded in lots and lots of fiber. So we have a very good opportunity to increase fiber in our diets, which grow the good bacteria, which then make our gut happy, which calm down our immune system. So that's a very good circle to go around. And then the other things you can do is to work with spices. Our spices are very, very nutritious. We have a very wonderful array of spices that we can use in our cooking, and they're very huge for anti-inflammation, helping your sugar control, like cinnamon, helping inflammation, like turmeric. You know, I have people doing turmeric in their water with black pepper to lower inflammation for arthritis pain, for any sort of achiness. Any sort of inflammation can do well with turmeric. But spices, ginger, garlic, turmeric, rosemary, marjoram, like all of these spices we cook with, you know, all the Indian spices have roles, and there's beautiful books out there that can teach you about this for cooking. Our cookbook, we talk about different spices as well. So I've written 2 books. One is about Body on Fire, which talks about these techniques and these issues to lower inflammation in your body and reduce the amount of illness we have. And the second book is a cookbook. And that is a plant-based cookbook that is very simple, 30 minutes or less recipes, ingredients you can find at local grocery stores, but just options for people like, what do I use instead of milk? What do I use instead of an egg? What can I use to make, you know, pancakes or whatever if I can't use my egg or milk? So these are kind of the things that we talk about in the book. But anyway, so going back to food, so we talk about, you know, plant-based, adding back spices, shopping in the periphery of the grocery store. And remember also, a lot of junk comes from our drinks. So I don't know how many people go to Starbucks, but a Starbucks mocha latte coffee can have tons of fat, sugar, and about 800 calories. So most of us cannot afford to eat more than 1,500 calories in a day, based on, you know, what our height and body weight is and muscle mass is. But half of those calories will come from that coffee that morning. So we have to pay attention to our calories that are coming in from liquids as well. Juices are also big culprits. There's very low nutritional value in prepackaged juices. So if you want a juice, you know, think about making your own juice from fresh fruit, because it's really amazing and it won't have any junk in it. So that fruits in general have sugar, but they're okay. But the processed fruits that come in jars and sodas and things like that, they're not healthy for us. And so when you start looking at labels, you'll start to see added sugars. How much added sugars? You want to keep that down to 20 grams or less for most people. If you're diabetic, you have to even do less than that. But carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are on these labels. But the big information I want you to start looking at is how much fiber is in this food, how much added sugar is in this food, and start looking at that, because try to add your fiber up to about 25, 30 grams a day minimum. That's a big order. That's a very hard thing to do. But it's really going to help you maintain your gut, maintain your health. It'll help you stay, it actually helps with longevity. You live longer, you live better, you have less complications from your health. So then people always say to me, well, okay, and then one other big tool I didn't talk about is exercise and movement. So most of the day, a lot of us post-COVID world we sit all day. We sit with Zoom calls. We sit with, you know, we don't travel as much because commuting used to be a big issue. But sitting is really bad for our bodies for many reasons, and it increases inflammation. So even if you got up every hour and moved and did, you know, some sort of yoga posture, sun salutations, yoga for the brain. I don't know if you all know what yoga for the brain is, but we can go over that in the question and answers time. But these are simple things you can do in between calls. So the concept isn't, I have to go to the gym for an hour every day. It's just sit less, walk more, do more activities, and don't sit as much. Because not only does sitting take away from calories, like, you know, walking and movement allow you to eat more, but the stability you get from the muscles. People who sit more do worse as they age. They fall more. They have more complications with structure. They break bones. They are not as strong. So we want to walk more now, so that when we're grown up and when we're elderly, we can have a good independent lifestyle. So sitting is also not a great thing. So movement, which again, when you're doing yoga and things like that, it's great. But remember, during the day, you must move as well. It's not just like do 1 hour in the morning and then you're done for the whole day. So also, if you have, you know, children that you're watching playing sports, or you're going to somewhere outside, instead of sitting at the bench or watching the kids, you know, walk around, do some walking, standing. You don't always have to sit and watch things, right? So find creative ways to move more, park farther in the parking lot, you know, take the stairs instead of the elevator. These things do all add up. So those are four main things. So it's sleep, the rest and movement, and then the gut part is the food, the choices we're making, what we're eating, and avoiding medications, certain medications that really are damaging for the gut when it's possible. And when I say this, I want anyone to review medicines with their doctors, because you should not stop medicines without doing that. But in general, we take too much of certain medications for no reason. One is antibiotics. For every cold, every sort of little cold that we get, people are asking for antibiotics, and most of the time they don't work for viruses, and a lot of our infections are viral. So antibiotic one course will change your microbiome, your gut bacteria, for up to 6 months. Yes, we need antibiotics for certain things, but not every infection needs an antibiotic. So be careful of how many antibiotics you start to take. Be careful of how many anti-inflammatory, Motrin, Aleve. Yes, they're over the counter, even Tylenol, but they're not healthy for us. They're not safe for us just to take. Oh, I have a headache, let me take a Motrin. After a while, your gut will pay for it, either through ulcers, or the gut will break down, or your kidneys will start to pay for it. Your blood pressure will start to go up. Your liver will start to get taxed. These are things to keep in mind when even over-the-counter medicines taken inappropriately can cause a lot of havoc within the gut microbiome. So a lot of the lifestyle things that we talk about actually help. When you remove foods that are very inflammatory to your body, you start to get better pain control, and you don't need as much Motrin or Aleve. So there are things you can do with your lifestyle that actually help minimize your need for certain medications. The other big medicine I just want to talk about is these acid blockers. Prilosec and the prantoprazols and all of these things we take for heartburn. Heartburn is very common, because why? We don't know how to eat. We eat too quickly. We don't chew our food. We eat the wrong food. We eat prepackaged foods. We eat poor quality foods. And we're running around. Sometimes we're eating while we're working. Sometimes we're eating while we're driving. So these things can cause really a distress in the gut, but the acid blocker is not the answer. The answer is trying to figure out why it's coming in the first place, and slowing down, changing our diet, trying to eat more restoratively, make sure you're sleeping, because not sleeping will actually cause heartburn as well. So this whole thing is a cycle of things. And if you can minimize the amount of meds you take, even if they're over the counter, it'll be very helpful. In my situation, I was able to get off my allergy meds because I stopped dairy. I didn't even know that was a connection until I tried it. So having said that, everybody has a unique journey. And so my co-author of the book that we wrote, she has rheumatoid arthritis. And with the lifestyle choices that we made, we talk about in the book, she was able to get off all her meds, and she has no pain now. And she's living, she's running marathons and doing all the things she wants to do on no medications. And she still has a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis, but it's in remission. And rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune inflammatory arthritis, very painful, very deteriorating. But because of her lifestyle choices, she was able 10 years ago to stop its progress, and she's doing great now. And if you want to learn more about her, her name is Monica Agrawal. She has a website. She has a lot of information for people suffering from arthritis on her website. But she did everything through lifestyle. So it is possible. There's a lot of opportunities to help yourself with them. I think that the journey begins very individually. Does everybody have to change their diet? Maybe not, but work on one of these things. And then it's a positive circle, because when you're sleeping well, you have more energy to exercise, and you have better food choices, because when we're tired and we have low serotonins, we pick foods that are higher in sugar. We pick foods that are higher in fats. We're just tired. Our brain needs more nourishment to keep moving. So when you start getting on this lifestyle path, you will start to make choices that will help other parts of your health. So I think at this point, I can just take some questions, because that's kind of the summary of my practice and what I talk about, and lifestyle choices, and how important these things are for you, even if you have a genetic predisposition for something.
Hi, Dr. Jyothi, this is Kaushalya.
Hi.
Can you please share the website of the rheumatoid arthritis you spoke about?
So Dr. Monica Agrawal.
Yeah, I think we can invite her if you could share her number with us, Jyothi.
I can share her website.
Yeah, or you can share me her contact, and we can invite her for our session, one of the sessions.
And the second thing is, where can we get your books? The book Body on Fire and the cookbook. Can we get it on Amazon? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. I will share the contact info for Dr. Agarwal.
Yeah, that would be good. We can invite her for a session with us.
Yeah.
I have one question. So you said sitting is not good, and how many hours do you think we should be sitting per day?
I don't think that's it's very hard to say. Like, there's no data on sleep. Like, sleep is 7 to 9 hours. We know that.
Yeah, sleep is there, but what
there's
about
no data? There's no research done on how many hours we should sit. It's about movement. We know that we should be moving 150 minutes a week to help with health. But in general, for like, I think everybody's a little bit different based on age and things like that. Even as simple as a 10-minute to 30-minute incremental change in your sitting patterns can help with overall health. So it doesn't actually matter if you are sitting most of the day. It's the breaks that you take in between. It's the stretching. It's those kind of things. Because unfortunately, our life is not, sometimes people commute for 3 hours. What are they supposed to do? They sit in the car. So a number is hard to give, but it's the breaks that you take in between. And unfortunately, there's no research like sleep on how many hours is good or bad.
So the breaks in between the hours, you mean like an hour or two, take break or something like that?
Yeah, an hour or two, do 4 minutes of stretching, do the forward fold, do a sun salutation, there's also a video I really like, Zach Bush, Dr. Zach Bush, I can share that website with you guys. 4 minutes exercise regimen that works 16 different muscles in your body. It's excellent. So it's a nice break for your body. Are you guys familiar with yoga for the brain? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, we already
call it something. Yeah. It's
we do that. Yeah, we do that. Mm-hmm.
We call it a lot of muscles, and that you should do about 20 times, and you can do that easily between phone calls. It's better than a squat, because when you do this type of thing, when you're engaging both sides of the body, your right and left hemisphere start to come together. And that's a very powerful intervention when our right and left side of the brain come together. Very powerful for our body. So that kind of input is also nice. So I would say just start taking breaks in between.
Okay.
Find ways not to sit as much.
Yeah. Now you said the animal products, about the animal products. So people who have allergies with the dairy products, they should try it out, not stop it and see how it goes for them, because everybody has different allergies from different food.
Right. So dairy cow's milk is very, very big in terms of the cow's milk casein protein, highly inflammatory for most people. So there's 3 different types of reactions that happen with food. One is intolerance, and that's for those people who have like lactose intolerance. They can't digest the milk because they don't have the enzymes. So they take a lactate-free milk or lactate milk, or they eat an enzyme to take the milk. That's just helping them digest the milk, but the inflammation from that milk is still there. And that inflammation doesn't present, like I said, as sometimes gas and bloating and constipation. It presents as eczema. It presents as allergies. It presents as fatigue. It presents as joint pain. And that's why it's so hard to make that correlate, because you're like, oh, my gut feels fine. I don't have any problems with it. But the casein protein is highly inflammatory. It can cause inflammation within the gut lining. So we get things like leaky gut, where the cells of our gut, which are it's a fortress. Our cells in our gut are kind of like the very big part of our innate immune system, which helps protect us against the bad guys. And their cells are like this. They're attached. They've got these finger-like projections, and they have cells. They have a bunch of bacteria on top. And so when food gets digested, it goes through the bacteria, it goes through the cells, it comes out on the other side looking like a digested food product. And your immune system looks at that and says, okay, that's not the bad guy. I know what that guy is. That's asparagus, that's broccoli. I know what that is. When we start to have intestinal permeability, the gut microbiome starts to break down. So we have a lot of bad bugs and holes in there. The cells start to separate, and the cells' finger-like projections start to go down. And dairy can do this. And then the food starts to go in between the cells. Food starts to go undigested through the cell. And on the other side, it comes out looking like a version of the body doesn't understand what it is. And it starts to attack it every time. This is Monica's story. Whenever she had dairy, her joint pains flared up. And so she didn't realize this until she stopped it. But that was a big intervention for her in terms of her joint pain. So dairy was causing intestinal permeability for her and increasing inflammation in her body. Dairy has also been implicated in an increased risk of breast cancer, prostate cancer, and colon cancer. So it is the protein that's in dairy that's the problem. And it can present in many, many ways. So for most of the time, very rarely do I say, people need dairy. I don't think anyone needs dairy for any reason. Vitamin D, you can supplement, you can get calcium-rich foods in other ways. The yogurt issue is that we don't know how bad it is because it also has some probiotics, so it helps a little bit. We just don't know. It's an individual call for people if they want to stay on yogurt. But in general, I would ask most people to try to go off dairy and see how you feel. But you have to give it about 4 to 6 weeks in order to know.
Yeah.
But how about like soya milk and almond milk? What do you think of that? Is that a better alternative?
Good. The problem is that they're reasonable options. Again, you have to look at the labels on these things. There are certain companies like Khalifa that make good products. They have less junk in them. It's so hard to say anything is good because like stevia, for example, or soy milk or almond milk by itself is not bad. It's the processing and the junk they put in it that makes it really not great. So things like carrageenan are inflammatory. So you have to find products that are good quality soy versus bad quality soy. Like Khalifa is a good company to go after. But certain companies just process it too much. So in general, the answer to your question is I think they're good alternatives. I would ask people to rotate their products that they're doing, like maybe cashew milk and coconut milk versus soy milk, and oat milk is also reasonable. Oat milk tends to be a little bit thicker, so you can make your cha and have that. It tastes a little similar. I know very many people are like, I can't have coffee, I can't have tea, I can't have it without my regular milk. And that's a call you'll have to make. But remember that when your body is seeing it, even if it's a little bit, the inflammation you're going to get from it is still there. So it really depends. And this is why I say to people, stop it altogether, then try a little bit and see if it changes. Most of the time people say, I just feel a lot better off of it, but I can tolerate it in my coffee every day. Okay, then do that. But you won't know how good you feel if you keep drinking it in your coffee while you're trying to get off of it because your body's still seeing it. But I do think that those alternative milks are okay. There's companies now, and I know Monica has a video on making your own milk at home, like almond milk and cashew milk. It's very easy to make. You just have to, it's a little bit of a process, but that way you don't have any preservatives or processing. I don't have time to make the milk, so I buy Khalifa milk. I buy Oatly sometimes, Oatly milk. And that's the milks that we use, but we rotate them. We have a soy, we have a cashew, we have an oat milk. So we kind of just rotate different milks into our day.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It was a thing that they used to say you have to have at least a cup of milk every single day. So is that bad or is it?
Yeah, no, I don't think I don't think that's to be true even for kids. I think you need vitamin D and you need to get calcium and you need other pros, but milk is definitely not a necessity by any means, not by any means. And so the new information that's coming out, the people who write the criteria for the cardiovascular dietary guidelines, I think 9 out of 10 of them are vegan. So 9 out of 10 cardiologists believe you do not need any animal products. But the guidelines that come out is minimize your saturated fats. It's not because of the fat in the dairy, it's the protein. That's what we're talking about. It's also high in fat. So there's a couple of different things, but the answer to your question is I don't think that to be a fact anymore. It is absolutely not a true statement to say you need a glass of milk every day. Like nobody needs a glass of milk every day. You can absolutely get those nutrients from other things. And in fact, in some people, that's actually doing your body harm by having a glass of milk every day.
Dr. Jyothi, I used to be your patient in Colombia.
Oh, okay.
And now
Nice
we
to see
moved
you.
to Montgomery County, so I had to change the doctor. I don't know whether you remember me or not, but I do remember you.
Oh, that's nice to see you. Yeah. When I was practicing at that practice, I didn't recommend these things because I didn't know it as well, to be honest. About 10 years ago was when I started my own experimentation on dairy and everything. And that's when I wrote the book, because it was a journey, a personal journey also, of what made me feel better.
Yes. I don't know, Janet Irwin is still your patient?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
She was the one who recommended you.
So one more question about the bread and the roti and stuff. You know, we Indians eat roti, a lot of rotis. But as long as are you saying that as long as it's something with made out of multigrain, those kind of flour?
I think the whole grain issue is good. You know, there's a subset of people, about 10% of people, that have gluten and wheat issues. Not everybody, but there are people who don't do well with different types of wheat and grains. And again, it's if you have a medical issue like a pain or an inflammation or a rash or some sort of GI issue, I ask everyone to try to get off of wheat and gluten. It is the two biggest food culprits are gluten and dairy by far, and causing harm when you don't know it. So if you try for a few weeks to stay off of it, nothing changes, then you use good quality wheat, you know, so that you can make your roti. The problem with like the refined wheat is that the grain is shaved. And so the flour is white. And when it's white, it has very low nutrients and very low fiber, which defeats the purpose of taking it. So if you can get unrefined grains, then I think it's okay. And I think when you make roti at home, it's the best version of what you can make. You know, you don't have a gluten problem, you don't have a wheat problem. It's fine. I mean, the thing is that we have to eat something, you know, unless it's a problem. But 10% of people actually feel amazing when they get off of gluten. So they won't know it because they're thinking, you know, whole wheat rotis are good for you. But for them, it might be inflammatory. So I would just kind of have you think about what kind of issue are you trying to conquer? And maybe for me personally, my body does much better off of gluten. Do I do it all the time? No. But I know that I feel better. My brain does better. My memory does better. My weight does better when I don't eat gluten, even if it's rotis. So that's personal for me, but that doesn't mean everybody should stop it, you know? So it's a function of what your body is asking for.
But how about jowar and bajri roti? That is better?
Yeah, so those are great. So millet and amaranth, and those are not gluten-based flours. So yeah, I think those are wonderful to do. And that's why I love our diet. It's so rich in diverse nutrition, right? It hits all the things. We have legumes, we have grains, we have you know, beans, and we have veggies, and we have all the things that we need for a wholesome diet. And that's part of every day. Like, we don't even need to eat animal products if we don't have to. So you can get a completely nutritious diet. I think the only issue I would say is make sure you're getting adequate amounts of protein as you age.
Yeah.
You need a little
so
bit
for
more protein.
kids, one more question. For the kids, I give them milk every day. Is there a particular milk I should give, do you think? Oat milk, or what do you prefer over what? Over regular
Whatever
milk?
they will drink.
They drink
Whatever
milk,
they will drink.
milk, but I could replace it to something better.
Yeah, so this is a good question for Monica, because my kids were already grown when I was starting this journey. Monica has 3 small kids, and I used to think, you know, what somebody said something about bones or something. All her kids are like 6 feet tall, and they have no milk. They drink no milk. The pediatrician you go to will get very mad at you. I will tell you that, because this is not a common thought. They will say your kid needs 2 glasses of milk per day, whatever. They'll ask the child, they'll yell at you if you don't do that. But the truth is, you don't need it. If you're supporting vitamin D and you're supporting calcium, you don't need it. So the problem with milk is kids don't like the taste of these alternatives, so they won't drink it. And I like it because they're calcium fortified, they've got protein in there. So they do serve a purpose. And I think, you know, with cereals and those kind of things, it's like, what else are you going to have? But I think it's a matter of taste and the quality of the product. So like I said, Oatly, there's also something called pea protein, PEA protein, which tastes a lot like a thick version of a milk, you know. There's different products that kids like cashew yogurt. my son likes, but he doesn't like cashew milk. So whatever they'll eat and whatever they like, so their taste will dictate that a little bit.
Yeah, because we're vegetarians, so we have very limited amount of choices when we go to get protein actually. So we need to just stick around with the beans and stuff like that. At least we need some sort of protein. We can't eliminate all of that.
No. You can't.
How about tofu?
I'm sorry, did someone say something?
Tofu?
Yeah. So tofu is wonderful. Tofu, tempeh, miso, soy-based products. There's also something called seitan, seitan, high in protein. It's a grain. I love tofu. We have tofu all the time in my house. We have a lot of options with tofu. Is wonderful. You can make it in many different ways. There was a little bit of controversy with breast issues and cancer with soy. That's been a myth now. It's debunked. It's not real. Tofu and soy does not, increase anyone's risk for cancer. In fact, it actually might protect you a little bit. But that doesn't mean we need to go and eat 5 servings a day. So I would introduce it as a concept where you're doing it in a reasonable amount, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Some people love soy milk, so it's okay. I just think that sometimes we go overboard with some recommendation and it becomes too much for your body, like too much soy. One thing I just want to talk about with soy is that it's the seed is a highly pesticide-ridden seed. So if you can get a organic soy product, it would be healthier for you because it's one of those things like corn and soy have a lot of pesticide on them. And so some of the problems people have with soy is because it's a high pesticide seed and the pesticides are bothering their bodies. So just kind of be aware of that when you see that a lot of allergens from corn products, and corn is in everything. So people get very allergic to symptoms when you do corn. So when you do corn, try to do non-genetically modified corn and organic corn if you can.
Okay.
Great. Anyone else? I think it was a great session.
Oh, thank you.
We learned a lot from you. Thank you for sharing all your information with us.
Oh, it was really nice to see you guys.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Very nice.
Bye.
Monica's number with Jyothi?
I'm going to share Monica's number with you and her email.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank you so
about
much.
the books.
What's that?
The books, you said. The books.
Yeah, those are Amazon. It's Amazon. Our books are called Body on Fire and Body on Fire Cookbook.
Okay.
Good. All right. Thank you so much, Jyothi.
Thank you.
Right.
I will send you the updates on our recording as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sejal, for bringing this.
Yes.
This is really
Oh,
very
sure.
informative. Very
Thank you.
You're all welcome. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
I'll
See you
all right.
tomorrow.
Bye now.